NBA slate. I had a good slate yesterday. Had a good night. I didn't ever find the way to get the sub 10%. I had two guys right at 10%. My big mistake was, D'Angelo Russell not being in my main lineup could have won me the 555 very easily. Everybody else was awesome. Reeves, DeRozan was low owned. So was Dennis Schroeder, who was out in the winning lineup, I believe, at least of the 600, or the whatever it was. 55. But yeah, good night. Nothing special. It looks like you had a good run there, Sheets, in FanDuel.
Yeah, I got like fourth or fifth. I think it was fourth in the monster over there. It wasn't
it was a tiny one, right?
Yeah, paid 2,000 for fourth. I mean, we'll take it though.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then it looks like every day I look up and I notice the League of Legends that you're winning something.
I wanted a seat to the thingy, to the World Championship qualifier, which is going to fill probably by August.
Oh my God, it's going to take that long.
I don't know, but I got two seats in that. I got to keep up with Chan because he's got one too. So I need at least double the seats that he has to be competitive there. So
nice. Well, for those of you guys who don't pay that much attention, maybe if you are LOL players, maybe check out our stuff. We've got Chan doing videos, and he's also writing little write-ups for every slate and everything now. So it's pretty cool. And Cheats is his projections, and these guys seem to collect. So yep. I think it's a wise move to get involved. So anyway, on to the NBA. We're going to try and find. I do feel a little bit rejuvenated, refreshed yesterday. I thought we could talk through the games quickly, who we like, but maybe then you could show me a couple of the builds the way you do them. I know you do it in general, but we talked a little bit, more in detail about myself doing it yesterday. So
yeah.
Oh, no problem, K9. How did I do on my props actually yesterday? That's a good.
Well, I know Josh Hart got the rebounds.
We knew that's going to happen, but by the way, he barely got there. It was a little,
I know.
A little closer than I wanted it, but it felt like a free win. I hope I did well in my props. I didn't even see what I ended up with. Anyway, I'm happy if it helped for you, regardless of what happened for me. So, Sheets, what do you have? What do you have in this first one? Is it LA, Washington? Yeah.
Well, first of all, again, I like to look at the slate here. So,
okay.
Wow, it's all early. Look at that. 7 o'clock. 1, 2, 3 games at 7. Then a game at 7:30. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, 5 games at 8. Then the Phoenix Brooklyn game, and then so the most important game is the Dallas Minnesota one, which is at 8. I just like to get a kind of a overall view of what's going on over there. So, I mean, as I mentioned, a lot of the value is going to come later, but let's just see if anything I get early. Yeah, no, not really. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. So I have Kawhi as a pretty good play at 8,200, and with all the value that you want on the slate, you could do whatever you want. So Kawhi looks pretty good over there. What else? That's pretty much all I get. Corey Kispert, but you don't need him today. So yeah, pretty much that's basically it. Is just Kawhi.
Yeah. I don't really have anything that look, it's a good matchup, obviously, for the Clippers. Kawhi, while he stands out, I honestly feel like there's no reason he should stand out over Paul George and Harden this much. So I would actually say, if you're play one of the other two. There's no, it's not going to end up this way at the end of the day, but if Kawhi is really going to be 20% owned and Harden and George are going to be less than 5%, there's just no reason to play Kawhi. That's my personal take. Because I really feel like, he's got a higher ceiling. Yes, he's more consistent, but it's not by much. It's really, really close. And there certainly should not be this kind of ownership discrepancy. So that's, I guess, my strongest take on the game is that I definitely wouldn't be playing like a 25% guy who I feel like has basically the same chance as guys who are 5% to have the kind of game you'd need. But he's, he makes sense. Maybe if you're different elsewhere, why not? But Kuzma on the other side, it's mild interest, but probably going to be a game that I'm not all that invested in personally.
Boy, I'll tell you, as you go to Chicago, Charlotte, for a 8-9 game slate, whatever, it feels like a 2 or 3 game slate. So we'll get to Dallas later, but the Chicago Charlotte game seems to be the other one. So I'm getting a whole bunch of value out of Cody Martin at 4,400, and then PJ Washington 5,800. Nick Richards at 50. I guess the whole country is out 5,700. Brandon Miller, Bridges, like all these Charlotte guys look good. And then back on Chicago again. You have Desomnu at 4,600, and then the regular guys. Vooch. I have Vooch as my favorite, but then there's DeMar as well. So you could stack this game kind of right out of the gate. I mean, I kind of like this.
Yeah, I don't know. You got the back-to-back for the Bulls. Just has me wondering. It feels like we've seen Caruso sit in these spots before. Dosunmu is already going to be popular because he just keeps getting there. But he might end up like crazy popular. So Dosunmu, though, I mean, is the most logical play. I feel like just price wise and everything else. The back-to-back for all these other guys, it's a little tricky. Vooch, yeah, it makes sense. But how many times have we said Vooch? And I swear it must work like 20% of the time. It feels like every time we say Vooch always projects the best, and every night it feels like either DeRozan or Kobe White outscore him. So, right. So I just throwing that out there for what it's worth. Kobe White with no ownership against a team that can't guard anybody, I would take that shot. So one of the three from the Bulls. Again, don't be surprised if somebody sits. The only reason why they might not is because they are really trying to win games. But back to back and travel. But I like Bridges the best on the other side. I certainly like the upside of Brandon Miller. I think he's starting to show what he can do. I don't know where he's going to end up ranking for me, but he's definitely on the list. As is PJ Washington. I just want to point out though, this is a worse matchup than Charlotte had the other day. And basically everybody on Charlotte is projected so much higher than they were the other day. And nothing has changed. It's all still without LaMelo. So I'm a little confused by that. So they're really just taking the last game as a sample size, and they're skipping the game before where the same thing was true. And Ish Smith was the guy, I don't know. It just feels a little fishy to me to assume anything outside of the Miller, Washington, Bridges. Nick Richards is whatever all the time. Cody Martin had the big game the other night. It's shocking though. Like this guy was projected at 18 fantasy points the other night as a starter, same amount of minutes, and now he's projected at 30. You know what I mean? In a worse matchup. Like I don't quite get it. So I would say that I think they're being overprojected. Are they good plays? Yeah, I think they're all still decent plays, even though they're being overprojected, in my opinion. All right. Yeah. Detroit and Cleveland.
Yeah, let me just do something real quick. Yeah, Detroit and Cleveland is a game that I pretty much don't have anything of. Do you have anything at all in this game?
Not that I was like, well, Cade coming back sort of mucks everything up on the Detroit side for fantasy purposes. Cleveland is probably going to smoke them here, which makes me less interested in Mitchell, and they just don't need as much, although he's going to be really low owned. Garland's also supposed to be back tonight. So I don't know how to really play this game. If Garland and Jared Allen, if anything happens there, then I'll jump off. But I'll jump in. But right now I have nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
Sacramento, Miami. I don't have much of anything there as well, except to say that I'm just gazing at this, and Tyler Hero seems cheap enough at 6,500. Yeah, he doesn't project all that great, but just seems to. It feels as though he's been more expensive. I don't know. So there's him, and aside from that, nothing looks that great. I mean, look, you can get Sabonis at like 5% ownership, whatever. But aside from that, I don't really have much.
Yeah, I got nothing on Sacramento. On the Miami side, I have no issue with Jimmy, Hero, Rozier, but I certainly am not prioritizing them with Hawkes back. So I guess Bam is in play too. But so everybody's in play, like sure, but I have no special love for any of them. I do think you're going to start seeing Jimmy Butler put up some bigger games like the second half of the season. I know we're not there yet, but I guess they've played more than 41, so I guess we are. But I don't think today is the right day for me. All right, what do you got next here? The Orlando San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean the only guy I have in this game is Wemby, and it's not easy at 9,200. Orlando doesn't really give up that many fantasy points, but then again, nobody really stops Wemby from getting them. I have him rated well enough. I'm looking at the board here. I mean, I'm trying to think of like who's that great though, as far as like just raw points. And there's Jokic is out there. Shea, I guess, is out there. Sabonis maybe. So they have Wembanyama projected 31 minutes. I guess that's reasonable enough. Yeah, so I guess he's in play. Nobody else though, and I have nobody from Orlando.
Yeah, I know it's a bad matchup and everything. Wembanyama on the 11 gamer the other night was 67% owned, and the fact that
Amazing, right?
because of that we're going to decide now not to play him everywhere. No, not me. So I'm going to, anytime I see anything on him, I'm just going to keep playing him until I hear anything about him not playing as much or anything like that. The thing about him is like, yeah, 31 is kind of, it's a little weird to have him predicted at 31 minutes considering he hasn't hit there. But somebody wrote the other night that Wembanyama and Brunson killed him, and they combined for 100, and they were like both under 9K. Which
it was ridiculous because they were expecting Brunson to score like 70.
Yeah, it's stupid.
They were all annoyed at 49. I mean, what do you want from the poor guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people were like, "Oh, I couldn't win. I had Brunson and Wembanyama." I'm like, that literally is in most of the winning lineups. Not necessarily what they won every first place, but they were in like most winning lineups.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to treat the Wemby thing as look, it's too cheap, in my opinion, and there's going to be some games where you wish you played somebody else, but I personally love Wembanyama, and I love that he's not getting especially high ownership. What's also great about guys like Wembanyama is, well, maybe he's the exception, and he might only play 22 minutes in a spot. Usually with rookies, when they start playing a certain number of minutes, even in a blowout, let's say that Orlando blows them out tonight, even in a blowout, they usually try to get those rookies a similar number of minutes almost all the time. So at least even if they're getting smoked, it doesn't mean like, oh, Wemby's going to be out of the game now. He might be a little different than some other cases, but anyway. So long story short, I do like Wemby a ton. I hope the ownership stays the same. I also think that Banchero on the other side is super interesting, and Wagner. I think one of those two has a good game here and are going to have very low ownership. I don't know if people have been catching up. Like, you can't always like just see the game logs and go by it, but Banchero has these just monster ceiling every night. And look, that may not be great that he doesn't hit it every night. He had, 9 games in a row where he didn't get there, but sandwiched on the other side are the 60 pluses. And this is literally like the nut matchup for him. So I just want to be overexposed to guys that I like that overall. But he and Wagner both, I feel like, are pretty decent plays. Not priorities, but decent.
So Denver and OKC, you have Jokic and Shea, and I mentioned that these guys are, they have good, raw point projections. We do have Shea is listed as questionable, so that's certainly worth thinking about. And then you have Jokic is questionable to lower back pain. So I'm just curious what happens with that. Obviously, if either of those two guys are out, the whole slate changes. If they both play, I would say that you could play them both if you want, just because of all the Dallas value and Charlotte value and whatever it is. Boy, I really hope they both play. I don't need another shit show slate. I don't know. It's already enough of a shit show.
Yeah.
But I really don't have anything else in this game unless one of those guys are out.
I think Lou Dort, if he plays, if he's 4,100, I kind of think we should be considering him, but it doesn't feel great. You've got the Reggie Jackson, for whatever reason, early in the day. The sites just love Reggie Jackson to start the day, and then they end up losing him, or at least SaberSim always does. They've always got him projected like 5 points higher than the rest of the industry. Yeah, it's a good matchup. I mean, I'm fine with any of these guys on Denver. I don't have a strong preference. It does feel like Jamal Murray sometimes takes these matchups really personally. That might just be something that where I would just go, okay, I'm just going to bet this is the game where Murray kind of tries to take over. Jokic being questionable, the game starting after lock gives you a little bit of some extra outs, as we would say, So really, he and Dort are my favorites. I have no issue with Shea, assuming that he plays, but don't have him as a priority at the moment. And If Shea doesn't play, obviously we have to figure out, all the other Giddey, Kason Wallace. I do think Kason Wallace is a thin value play, but you probably need at least one of Chet, Shea, or Lou Dort out. And because they're all three questionable, it kind of feels like one of them might sit. I don't know. They also just had a tough loss the other night to a team that they're, right there with in the West. So we'll see. Hopefully we have that information early because that's pretty big.
All right, so this Dallas-Minnesota game is ridiculous. I mean, like not only are Luka and Kyrie out, which is bad enough, but also Exum is out. Also, Derek Jones Jr. is out. Also, Derek Lively is out. They're going to lose by 40, but you have all these guys that are going to play minutes and project really, really well. I mean, you're going to have Hardy probably going to be 80% owned. Hardaway, Josh Green, those are the first three I'm looking at, and then Grant Williams. I mean, they're all going to be like through the roof. I want to see who's eligible. I want to see who's in the lineup. You know who got some couple of minutes the other day was Rashad Holmes. I saw him get in there a little bit. Maybe he can get there. So it's just going to require a little bit of finessing to see who's starting, see who's active, and see whatever. But listen, I don't know how many guys they're going to dress, but they have to fill up 48 minutes somehow. And they're all really, really cheap, and probably going to get 3+ of them in your lineups. And that's just the way it is. You want to play Minnesota? I mean, what's the spread here? 20? I mean, what?
It's only 13 or 14, I guess.
I mean, it's like, I guess, a mercy spread or something. I don't know.
There's a really good chance someone in Minnesota might sit. Just
maybe.
Just because, I don't know. We've seen that happen a lot lately. Let me just address something. Maxi Kleber from K9. K9, come on, you're better than that. There's never, ever, ever, ever a time on a slate with more than 7 games where you're trying to target Maxi Kleber, no matter who's out, no matter anything. If you end up on him or you're using him in addition to other better value, that's okay. Maxi Kleber is one of the lowest producers in the history of fantasy sports, and literally you're never, ever, ever trying to play him. If he ends up getting there, so be it. He just played 22 minutes the other night. Guess how many fantasy points he had? 3. There's nothing to his game at all. If anything, I like to use him in small slates, in where I'm doubling up other value. And being on FanDuel as you are, it makes a little more sense than DraftKings. But this is not Maxi Kleber time, no. It's also not Dwight Powell time for me. It is Jaden Hardy. I'm a little less interested in Tim Hardaway Jr. I think Hardy, Green are my favorites, followed by Hardaway, Williams. But honestly, like Brandon Williams, AJ Lawson, they have a ton of bodies. They're not shorthanded. They just don't have their good players. So this could end up being a shit show where you don't necessarily want as much. And that's sort of the way the projections are going. Nobody's really, other than Hardy and Hardaway look like they're going to be super popular. Nobody else looks that popular. And I don't know. I kind of understand why, because you have Maxence Prosper. All these guys may start, by the way. Right. We don't even know who's going to start.
Right.
I'm just going to say that I'll stick with Hardy and Green as my favorites. And I thought I was going to say I was going to be underweight by only having a couple Dallas guys. But honestly, I don't think people are going to be playing 4 and 5 of them because it's really hard to figure out who those guys even are. And they're going to be planning for a blowout, which probably comes, but maybe not. And I really don't know how you run anything back on the other side. I think Naz Reid is my favorite play because that's like a way to get weird with some serious ceiling if there is a blowout, and he could be leading the blowout. So that's it. I mean, but pretty much nothing from Minnesota. As of right now, I have Dallas as 2 minimum, but I am trying to figure out even if I need to do that because it is really hard to figure out. I mean, they've got 12 active, but they've got more than 12 active bodies actually that they could play. So their starting lineup is going to be sort of relevant. And even if Maxi Kleber starts and if he gets there today, I could care less. I'm never playing him in this kind of a situation. I don't know. It's really tough because they're all projected like in the median range of minutes outside of the 3 guys who look good. I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I think Hardy's the lock, and everybody else, I don't feel like you have to play any of them.
Hardaway's kind of a tough fade too. I know we don't like to play him, in general, just because he's shooting. But I mean, there's just nobody else on the team, and like it's.
Well, Hardy.
I guess Josh Green. I guess he can do something.
And Hardy's more like Hardy is a higher usage.
Oh no, I definitely like Hardy the most.
Yeah,
And that aside from that, I mean, like
I've just seen these games where Hardaway like ends up only playing like I don't know. He plays 28 minutes.
We're going to play 35 today. I mean, what's he going to play?
Well, why would he play 35 though? Like it's not like they, like they have real bodies on the bench. They've got Curry, Powell. Like the weird part is like the tempting thing I was thinking to do early in the day was just say F it and F everything else. Let's play Rashawn Holmes.
Right.
Just forget the projection. Why do we need to pay attention to the projection? You have a totally unique situation against a team that plays two centers all the time. And Rashawn Holmes is incredibly active when he plays. If he plays 20 minutes, he might put up 35 fantasy points. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud because I don't know what to do with this Dallas situation. I do think that
by the way, just to keep it real, I don't mind the Cleaver play today. But whatever, we'll see.
Cleaver. So what if he's?
I don't mind it. I mean, you know what I mean. Like I just want to. It's a guy I've heard of that I've seen score points sometimes, and they have nobody to play. I don't know.
I've never seen him score actual real life points. I've only seen him get like 5 or 6.
He used to shoot a bunch of threes. No, I used to remember that. No,
I think I don't know. I don't know if he's ever scored more than 10.
That's like a long time ago, I think.
Yeah, it might be. And also like he's not like that's one position that they're really, other than the fact they have to play bigs, he's not benefiting at all. Like Dwight Powell, Rashawn Holmes, and Grant Williams are all going to get minutes. Anyway, it's something that I want to revisit later, and hopefully we get an early starting lineup. But I think I might gamble on Rashawn Holmes. I certainly like the Rashawn Holmes long shot gamble, whether he only plays 5 minutes versus the Kleba, who I'm just praying for some sort of a miracle that somehow he gets enough blocks and steals against a team that doesn't turn the ball over or get to a shot block. That's tough for me.
Houston, New Orleans. I like the two main guys from Houston. That being, by the way, for me at least, Sengun and Van Vliet. They both look like pretty reasonable plays here, and their ownership is pretty tame compared to some of these other guys in general. So I do like both of them. I don't know why I'm not getting to too much Jabari Smith. I guess I probably should. What the hell's wrong with my projections here that I'm not even seeing? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't project all that great, but I mean,
pretty good.
He's pretty freaking good. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, the reason why you're not getting to him is because of Tim Hardaway Jr. at the similar price, both forward eligible, I think.
I suppose. But yeah, I'm only getting a 30-point projection. He's got to get more than 30.
Why? That's actually it seems like a very reasonable projection to me.
Yeah, I don't know. 40, 43, 47. I guess he's been playing 36, 35 minutes or whatever.
But even before that, when he was playing 35 minutes, he was getting like 20, 17.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I like all three of those guys really. And I'm not really getting too much from New Orleans.
I think you love Houston. You secretly love to play the Houston guys more than anybody.
I think so.
You know why? But I get it. It makes sense knowing you and knowing the game because they all have like Sengun getting 60. Obviously, he just did it. So that's totally possible. We've all had Van Vliet get 60 for us at some point or 55 for us.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then you've got Jalen Green who can get it there at 6,500. You know what I mean? So they all fit into your perfect, not spending all the way up range too.
Right. You're right.
They're the Sheets team.
Yeah, it is.
And I love them. I'm in with you. I actually think it's a tough matchup for Sengun, but I'm still open to it. And look, Van Vliet being only that one's starting to get down in price enough because Jalen Green has been going so nuts where I'm kind of interested. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge what Jalen Green is doing. There's been a lot of trade rumors for Jalen Green. He's been absolutely awesome, both in fantasy and in real life. And he has been more active and had higher usage than he's had all season long. Well, he had a couple games where he had a higher usage, but again, similar. Well, he did have his highest usage game the other day. So I like that idea of getting one of the Houston three, maybe more. I wish I had a run back that I loved, but maybe can I interest you in a very, very low owned any Pelican? And they're all affordable.
Any of them, right? I mean,
it's I guess Zion would be Zion or Ingram. Every one of them. I mean, Zion, Ingram, and McCollum. But if you want to get creative with it at all, I don't know how much they're going to want to put Zion on Şengün. Maybe they would, but Larry Nance might have an upside in his minutes.
Yeah, McCollum has some 40s in his resume here.
Yeah, you probably want more than, I mean, like you want that, but like the problem is it feels like that's felt like his ceiling. And I believe that game against Utah where he had 49, I don't think Zion played. Zion wasn't playing when they played that game against Sacramento where he had 50. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure on that Sacramento one. Pretty sure. I think Zion was at that one for sure. That's the problem is they just all have these games and it's hard to follow. I think that Ingram would be my favorite along with Ingram and Zion would be my 2 picks, but I'm okay with the McCollum thing. Look, it's a way to get different on this slate. And I'm sort of here for that idea. Houston's defense is not what it was to start the year.
So I got a couple of ideas to lose money on this Phoenix game if you want. First of all, just to throw it out there, you have Durant going back to Brooklyn, which is what it is, I guess. But this is like the ultimate game log watch. But I'll just say that if he plays and people forget to play like Ben Simmons, and he actually gets like some minutes and he's feeling good. I mean, you see what he can do, man. I don't know if anyone's going to play him either. So he did score 42 fantasy points in like 4 minutes in his last game or something like that.
Yeah.
It's too bad, man. 3 months, and then he's right back on the injury report. I mean, I don't know about. We'll see. But he says questionable. Says questionable, but he's listed as probable. Wait, what it says now? Oh, downgraded to out. Wait a minute.
Oh, that happened. It was recent because I didn't have that.
He's now been downgraded to out, which is not a good sign. But his official availability will not.
Wait, does it actually say which is not a good sign?
Yeah, I don't know what this. I don't think that's what it means. I think he was downgraded to questionable.
I think you're totally right, but it's hilarious.
No, he's downgraded to out, which is definitely not a good sign.
Definitely not a good sign.
But I don't know. I mean, he only played 18 minutes, but can he play more? Is it possible?
First of all, he played 18 minutes, had a 10% usage rate, and scored 42 fantasy points. How do you have a 10% usage rate and have 11 assists in 18 minutes?
I don't know.
That's like
and 8 rebounds.
This guy, okay, so going back to when he was at LSU, I'll take the L on Ben Simmons. I've already taken it, although it looked like for a few years I was a genius. I was like, this guy's going to be the best. He's going to be a top 5 player in the NBA, and he actually was. I mean, he was all NBA. But it is so crazy how bad he's gotten. But I think people forget if the team especially doesn't really care. You put this guy in the mix, and he won't shoot the ball, but he'll do everything else. He'll get you 1,000,000 points every which way.
He will.
So I kind of think that's like, but you know what's crazy, Sheets, the other night? And they're going to play him less tonight because of the 18 minutes. Oh. People were speculating in the big buy-in. He was 9% owned.
Really?
Isn't that shocking?
That's amazing to me, actually.
That's like super. Okay, so that's also what got me thinking a little bit more about the Sims. I'm like, are the Sims actually telling these guys to play this guy?
No.
Like, I could not figure out, but it was worth speculating on. So maybe on the contest Sim side of it showed up more. I don't know. But because I didn't start till the next day. But anyway, we can run some Sims. I really don't know. I think Durant is not that kind of guy. He's a little bit of a beta masking so whatever. But it wouldn't surprise me if he had a good game here, just for the fact that, first of all, he's 9,100, very affordable. So I guess he'd be my favorite play in this game. As of right now, with Ben Simmons, I think I would still have interest in both Dinwiddie, Thomas, and potentially Lonnie Walker if Ben Simmons is out. So I actually kind of like this game a little bit.
Okay, so let's do it. I'll pretend I'm you for a second. Like how many like lineups do you want to build for? Like how many are you going to enter in like the lottery? Like 20?
So right now I'm going to plan on 20.
Okay. So one little thing you could do is when you select your pool size, you don't have to do 5,000. You just have to basically multiply this by 100. Okay. So like if you're playing like 50, you could make it 5. It's just that you don't need more than this, right?
Sure.
So that's the first thing. And then I would just leave this, and you can leave this at 20 max. It doesn't really do anything for you if you build it to 150. Mm-hmm. So literally start by just kind of doing this and just building. And then one thing that I like to do is I always like to save like dummy lineups before I even do this at all. And I'm going to show you why in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. And again, just so you know, this usually takes about as long as it's taking here, which is about a minute, like at most. And again, it's important to know what it's doing right now. Like right now, it's building a pool of 2,000 lineups, and I'll show you how it's building. It's just based on like Saber score, which is like kind of like not optimal, but like upside. You know, it's kind of a good. This is what I used to use. I used to use these exact lineups pretty much.
Right.
So these are pretty good to like get started. Okay, and I'll show it from here. Now, what I like to do first from here, before I even look at it, is I want to upload these to my contest kind of as is. So what I'll do is I'll go save to my contest, and then what I'll do, it says here, download template file from DraftKings. So now it's actually just downloaded my DraftKings file, because since you saved your dummy lineups, it's already on your, it's already in there. And then you upload them, and there's a reason I'm doing this, is I upload them to here. So now it has all my existing entries already in. And what I do here is you want to right click whichever tournament that you're playing. Because it's going to list all the things you're doing, and you'll click add contest in, because what that'll do is that'll automatically upload the settings for those tournaments you're playing. So right click add, and then right click add. These are all the ones I'm playing. And then after you do that, then you click this run contest sims. So now, again, it's important to know what's happening. So the first thing that we did is you ran your 2,000 lineups, and it just listed 2,000 lineups, right? Now what it's doing is it's simulating the contest based on Saber Sim ownership, okay? So based on Saber Sim ownership, it's predicting what the field is going to play. Now, before you even go on, it's important to know, right, that this is an assumption. You're assuming that the Saber Sim ownership is accurate. If you didn't believe that, you could also, this is kind of effed up, but you could also presume that these lineups they created are what the field is going to play also, which is kind of screwy. So what you're really doing in that case is you're simming your lineups to yourself, which is actually not bad. All right, so you see when this went to light, the contest sim's been run. So now you have to find the contest that you want to play.
Right.
Drop down. So we're doing the fadeaway, and you do the drop down here, and you have a choice of how you want to rank these. From what Jordan tells me, the best way to do it is RAROI, which is risk adjusted ROI.
Yeah.
So you click on that. And so now what it's done, right, it's taken the original 2,000 lineups, and it's now re-ranked them based on how they are supposed to perform in the exact fadeaway, right? So these are the 20 lineups.
Right.
And so now you could just go ahead and upload them, or you can, screw around and play with it. You know what I mean? Like you could then, if you weren't so confident, you could make these min uniques 2, or min uniques 3 even, or whatever. And now you're not getting your top 20 anymore, but you're diversifying a little bit. And if you like the way they are, I mean, we'll see what they are in a minute, but yeah, you'd be getting 100% Hardaway and 100% Hardy. But if you didn't like that, like you said, you're not too keen on Hardaway, you can either X him right here, right? Or you could just downgrade him, and it'll then give you the 20, like let's say you only want to max like 50% of him, right? You can do here, max 50%, you hit apply, and all of a sudden it changed all of it. So now you only have max, so now you only have 50% of him. And then if you like it, whatever, you could sometimes look at team stacks to see if, how many 5-man stacks. You really don't, like you mentioned, you're not getting all these 5-man or 4-man Dallas stacks, right? Like you said. And then what you do is you go here, save to my contests, and you pick the fadeaway, and it automatically saved this file here. And there aren't enough lineups because I'm in 50, right? So, and then you just save them like that. So like, for example, I'll just do it for mine. So since I'm doing 50, I would hit save to my contest here, and it says unique rank. That means it's giving me the top, basically the top 50 of what I've done, just ranked here, boom. And then you go into each, if you really believe in this stuff, you go into each tournament and you do the same thing. like in the leaderboard one, and which again, like you don't you use the entry editor, but if you get used to it, it becomes a really good tool.
Well, I'm definitely going to at some points, but my focus is I'm going to treat this also like as a reference point more than I am as I'm going to actually use it for every single.
Yeah, that's fine too. Right.
Because I think that it makes a big difference, and it just was interesting to me. Like I was trying to create one lineup even with in the alley-oop yesterday, just to see what it was coming up with.
Right.
And it was basically coming up with the exact ways to get different that I thought of, which were only like 10%, 15% things. But it sort of made me feel a little bit better about, okay, I can actually approach this.
And that's really important. You know what I mean? Like this is just a tool, right? You use it for whatever you use it for. And that's one thing that I use this for baseball and hockey like this. It's kind of like confirmation sort of, you know, like you have an idea of what you want to play. And as long as your contest sims or whatever get you kind of close, you're like, okay, I feel a little bit better. But if you run the contest sims and it's like totally separate and removed from what you wanted to do, then maybe you should go back and think about it. You know,
right. Absolutely. No, that's I like that a lot, and I think that it's nice to get into all this. I just want to, you know, I really do want to start doing it for the right things to script. What are your feelings like? Just curiosity. I guess we have golf coming up. We'll talk about that for golf because I actually have some questions about it with golf. But no, that looks really cool. The correlation thing and everything like that, and you, I mean, adding that and all those things. I feel like I know how to use it, but that does help me seeing you go through it because you're obviously you actually know what you're doing with it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, so it's cool. Anyway, guys, we'll see you live at 6 Eastern tonight. It should be a fun slate. I have a little bit of a renewed energy towards this season. I'm ready to turn it around and get back to business. Also, it is nice to have a winning night to kick it off. So hopefully, springboard steady, and let's get it tonight.